Sunday Sports Extra continues with your answer to Western Siding Trivia. Marty Tadman and Corey Hall both made 6 interceptions to lead Boise State in 2006. 2 of Tadman's picks came in the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma, one in the end zone, and the other returned for a touchdown after Hall coincidentally slightly tipped the ball. A reminder that the Scott Slant continues in column form, updated every weekday at ktvb.com. And you'll notice I have a purple tie on tonight. It must be in honor of the Yotes, because that was a great scene. Yeah. It was so 21 seconds left, looking across the field. Yotes have the ball on the 25-yard line, and the flag is standing straight. I mean, straight out. You can count the stars on the American flag. And they get down into position. They end up on the 41-yard line. You're going, that's 58 yards. It's 58 yards. But the wind was howling, and they knew they could get enough loft under it, and it just went right over the crossbar.
Just incredible.
What
Coach Mo and the Yotes continue to do out there is absolutely awesome. Yeah. Glad you got out there too. Awesome atmosphere.
Yeah,
right?
It was great. Yeah.
Super
cool.
I
mean, a lot of people braved a pretty tough day. It was dry, no rain, but it was very windy. Very windy.
They had wind in Provo, but they also had a whole lot of rain. It was cold, it was wet, and it was windy. And that kind of, I guess, sums up the way that the game went and how we all feel about that game. Boise State losing by 3 on the road at Provo. Now, we talked about this on the Bronco Roundup Game Day show yesterday. BYU was 2-4 going into that thing, and they'd been on a 3-game losing streak. But it's tough to win in Provo, and we found that out last night.
It is. They had a fiery week of practice down there. Yeah. Kalani Sitake was unusually animated in practice. We read about that. And they wanted this game in the worst way. They were very prepared for this game. And they really took it to Boise State in many ways. But in the end, it's a 3-point loss.
Yeah.
3 points.
I know we have kind of taken a little bit of a dive to Boise State Twitter today, and it's interesting to see some of the reactions following a loss.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that the build-up, this has been all about the Cotton Bowl and all about top Group 5 ranked team, and that was so ahead of the game, and so that raises the expectations. Yeah. And then one loss just destroys everybody.
Let's not forget this team started off unranked.
Yeah, and now they've been ranked for 8 weeks or 7 weeks, and come on. I
mean, not trying to defend the loss. BYU won that game yesterday, but when we just talk about a little bit of the bigger picture, I mean, you hear people talking about firing Harsin or the fact that this is a subpar team. Yeah. I don't know what subpar team in America is 6-1 and ranked 22nd in the country. It was a loss.
They are the winningest.
This team still has a lot of season left, and I still think they have a ton of potential.
Winningest college football team in the new century. And Brian Harsin is 58-16. 58-16. So I want somebody to come in here and do better than that.
It would be awfully tough.
Yeah.
Broader perspective.
Yes.
Bronco Nation, for those out in panic zone, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
As Aaron Rodgers said, RELAX, relax. A lot of season left to be played. It's one loss. If your expectation year in, year out is to win every single game, and if you don't, then it's a complete failure.
It's crazy.
I'm sorry, but that's not how it works. Even at Alabama, for crying out loud.
It's funny too, and we were kind of talking about this earlier today too. I mean, Boise State is obviously favored to win every game. But it's kind of like if you're betting on sports and you parlay a bunch of bets together. You can be 80% favorite to win one game and 80% favorite to win another game and 80% favorite to win another game. But once you start to parlay all these together, you're not 80% favored to win out. You're more like 10 or 15% favored to win out. So it's tough to do. The odds say you're not going to do it. Boise State was able to defy those odds until last night in Provo, and They could not get it done, obviously. They struggled for most of the night. They just could not find their rhythm. I think the BYU did a good job of game planning and adjusting and showing them things that they didn't really see before this game, and
I go back to 2014 after the loss to Air Force in 2014, which was a bad loss. It was over. I mean, it was over. The dynasty was over. The golden era was over, and then Boise State won the rest of its games and won the Fiesta Bowl. So some crazy things can still happen here. SMU is now the top-ranked Group of 5 team, but you don't know what the College Football Playoff Committee is going to do, and you don't know what the future holds here the rest of this season.
I think that you also had you saw some people questioning the toughness of this team. I mean, how often we talk about how tough Hank Bachmeier is, and you look at David Moe coming back from injuries.
Go to practice.
Honestly.
People weren't questioning their toughness after they came back down at Florida State and hung with that team down there. Right. So I get it's a loss, but
it was a tough one.
Yeah.
And it was a discouraging loss.
Yeah.
But it was a loss by 3 points in a 6-1 season.
Okay, well,
let's move along.
Let's move along here because we do need to dive into some of the facts here and some of the disappointment. And Chase Cord, it just took him a while to get into a rhythm, and by the time he did, it was just too late.
Yeah, I was surprised that Chase had some of the struggles that he did. The first drive, everything looked great, but then there were 3 consecutive 3-and-outs, including this. Well, first was the interception, and then 3 straight 3-and-outs. He went 0-5 over that period before rallying kind of at the end of the half. But it was really a difficult night. He tried to go to John Hightower. John Hightower had his targets. He had a drop there. So it was an off night for John Hightower too.
I think it just took Chase a little bit too long to finally get in rhythm within this offense. You saw it in the second half, especially the last part of the second half, especially in that fourth quarter when they rallied him. But by then, I think it was just a little bit too late, not enough time on the clock when things got down to crunch time. But made some nice plays, made some plays he'd like to have back. But I think that's what you expect out of a guy making his first career start.
Really quick, Octavius Evans, touch on him because he had a great night. We talked a lot about him during fall camp, and he finally had his breakout game. Octavius had 5 catches, 77 yards. Both of those are career highs, and he manhandled some of these cornerbacks out there to make some of these grabs.
He did. It was time for Octavius to have a breakout night, and he did. This is this touchdown catch reminds me of Shakir's at Florida State, very much like that.
Yeah.
And it was great to see Octavius step up because, as we mentioned on the Scottsland, the others kind of struggled a little bit. So that was big for Octavius Evans, and he can be one of the 5 now.
Yeah. On defense, I think that Boise State hung in there, but really 2 plays cost them. And it was 2 plays where they were a little undisciplined with their eyes. They bit on 2 trick plays, and I mean, that was half of BYU's scoring offense right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit him with 2 big plays, and you just got to have eye discipline, as you alluded to.
And one of them was out of the Boise State playbook, 2008, the Oregon game at Autzen Stadium, when Kellen Moore kind of almost scraped the ball on the ground, acting like he fumbled, went over the top to Kyle Efaw down to the 3-yard line. That pass to Bushman was that play. That was that play. Kind of a fake fumble on a 4th and 1, and a touchdown, and then the double reverse flea flicker, just well executed, but the Broncos got sucked in each time.
Yep, I think what it comes down to is this team has talent. Nobody will question that, but now the pressure is on them even more to make sure that they can peak and make the most out of this season. Still a lot to play for. They're still in the top 25 within striking distance of some of those teams out of the American Athletic Conference. Only time will tell if Boise State can take care of their business and track down some of those teams. Tom, we appreciate it. Heading into a bye.
3-0 in the Mountain West.
Heading 3-0 in the Mountain West too. Right. Heading into a bye. We're going to see you next week. Get a week off.
Oh no, I'll be here.
Nice. All right. Hey, there's a W.
Yeah.
Okay, we picked up a victory this week then.
Victory!
Right. High school football highlights coming up next.